into the next section, which is introversion, lack of relationships, and family dynamics. So it's not negative or unhealthy to be introverted. But with that said, if you're introverted and you're in your mom or dad's basement, or you're in a room that has all the light shut out of it and you're not getting sunlight, you're in your room all day, you're not connecting with people, the community, your friends, family, that can contribute for sure to depression and mental health challenges, and also physical chronic health challenges as well. So just notice how much you're staying in your bubble, staying in your little shell. Look into getting out more, looking to get outside in the sun more. Usually if you're in your room all the time, you're not eating well, or maybe probably not even sleeping. Well, maybe you're sleeping well, and sometimes sleeping too well, where you're sleeping 10 hours, which is, if you're young, that's totally fine. You could sleep 8, 9, even 10 hours maybe is on the edge, but 8 to 9 hours is fine for a teenager. Just get out and get some sun in the morning. Start eating better. Get your circadian rhythms, working properly. If you're staying up all night half the time and you're 2 a.m. every night and 3 a.m. every night, it's just might not be sustainable for long term. So look into how introverted you are versus extroverted. Doesn't mean you can't be introverted, doesn't mean you can't be in your bubble. Just means to find a little bit more of a balance, because maybe this is affecting you negatively. Look into getting outside in the sun, doing more outside activities, getting a little bit more exercise or movement, eating a little bit better. But look into your family dynamics, maybe your friend circle. Maybe you're not very popular at school, and maybe getting involved with like-minded people might help. And maybe it's just something that you're not that great at, is having friend circles and or connecting with your family all the time. And that's okay. Maybe you just think about it for a little while, look into it, and say, that's just me, that's my life. But please be open to connecting with more people and connecting in a certain way to your community, which is what I will actually go into next, with connection with society and having a purpose in life. So again, talk to somebody that can give you some support, somebody that you trust, and just say, I think this is negatively affecting me. I want to find some friends or a friend circle or people that are like-minded. Maybe you start getting into new hobbies, or even if you're old enough, you're out of school and you're a young adult, and maybe you look at getting a different job or connecting better with employees, stuff like that. So looking at your connection with your employees and your colleagues, I should say, or your employer. Maybe you are having a negative or dysfunctional connection with your job. Maybe you can fix it, maybe you can't. That's up to you to look into and see what you maybe create a better situation. So section is having a purpose or having no purpose in life. So this is going a little bit deeper into like more root causes. We want to have a purpose in life. That's one of the reasons why we're here, to find that out and to live our purpose or live a purpose. Our living out, using our talents and our skills, and give back to society or your environment, which is usually society and the community that we live in. That is something that is not very easy to grasp when you're young, especially if you're a teenager. It might be more difficult to grasp. Young adult, it's a little bit probably difficult. You'll start seeing that more as you get into your 30s or your 40s, where you'll see like how much it can affect you if you're not really giving back. And it's a give and receive in society. You go to your job and you give your time and energy, and of course you get paid for that. But you also want to look at what the bigger picture is. How am I giving back to society with the work that I'm doing? Maybe that's just something for you to look into personally, and change or not change. It's up to you. Usually it's when you get into your own hobbies or when you get into your own business. Maybe if you're just working a job that's just an everyday 9-to-5 job, maybe you can try to find a purpose in that and a bigger purpose, and it helps you. Maybe there's not, and you can just let this topic kind of go, or you can do something in a different way to find a purpose in a different way outside of that. But usually it's you start your own business to do something that you're passionate about. So it really comes down to what you're inspired to do, what you're passionate about in life, and being creative. So when you're being creative, either it's through art, through your own job, maybe even being creative. The creative energy can go through into building a family, so having children and building a family. So if you're a stay-at-home mom or dad, being creative with actually having children, being creative to play with your children, be creative with how you, maybe you teaching your kids just things about life, and you're being creative that way, and you're giving back to, you're having a give and receive through that interaction. That can be really important. So going back to building a business, that's actually a business that you're building to give back. Like, let's say you're Elon Musk or somebody that's like, oh, I want to have a more sustainable future or sustainable vehicles, which that's a whole different topic about if the electric vehicles are sustainable or not. It goes back and forth. At the very least, it's not polluting using pollution from the exhaust pipes, but it pollutes in different ways. That's not the basis of this conversation. That's just a random analogy for you're somebody that wants to do something better or different, or do something better in society that makes society better. So and you're inspired to do something. So look into those kinds of things, and even doing little art projects and having a garden. You wake up every day and you see your garden, you see the little plant that is grown from here 1 inch to 2 inches, and that gives you, it's like this connection that you have. Connecting with nature is one of the biggest and best things for depression. So along with sunlight, getting outside, getting your feet in the ground, and just randomly plugging that into this area here. But yeah, explore what your purpose is, explore what you feel inspired to do, what you're motivated to do. If you're feeling depressed, you might not feel any of these things. So maybe this is on the tail end of once you get outside in nature, once you get your diet and nutrition taken care of, maybe you start doing a little bit of movement and exercise, just going for walks, and then maybe connecting differently with some friends or friends groups, or connecting differently with colleagues. And then you can get to the point where you get into these last couple bigger picture things where you're maybe starting to implement your skills and talents in society somewhere, being creative in some form, even if it's just as a hobby on the side with arts and crafts and other hobbies. I personally have several hobbies, and not just video games. Video games have a place, but you don't want to become addicted and have it take up all your time. You want to use it as a tool to have some downtime, have some fun, but you don't want, let's say you know in the back of your mind that you should be maybe doing some other things first to get things done, to be productive and constructive, and you're not doing those things because you're playing video games or other kinds of things like video games, like watching TV, sitting around lounging, when you could be constructive and get things done. if you're not getting things done and then that's where it becomes a problem. So you don't want to get to that point where it's like an addiction and it's causing you to not do the constructive things in life. So moving on from our purpose is a topic that has become more and more apparent in the last handful of years, maybe 5 to 10 years. And this is the idea, this notion that men don't matter and society is telling you that you don't matter and masculinity is bad, being a man is bad, those kinds of things. And again, it's the fringe minority that is talking about this. It's like certain areas of certain groups in society that are on social media talking about these kinds of things. So I would highly disregard these things and look into how if it's affecting you and how. If you are feeling this sort of depression and malaise from not having a purpose, not feeling like you're important. There's personal things. This can come from trauma. This can come from your own. Again, goes back to our cognitive behavioral therapy. We have these what's called cognitive distortions. So again, this is a really big topic in psychology and psychoanalyzing yourself. They're called cognitive distortions. Just Google it. You get a list of. They're mostly all the same list. Some are a little bit. They're mostly similar. Some are a little bit different than others. List of like 15 to 20 different cognitive distortions. If I don't do good in school, I'm a bad person. If I don't do this right, then I'm a bad person. Extreme behavior, thinking black and white. These kinds of things are cognitive distortions. And that is also tied in with automatic thoughts. When you start analyzing and questioning your own self and your thoughts, like, what the heck why do I think that bad thing about myself? These are automatic thoughts, like maybe there's a voice in the back of your head that says, oh, I'm stupid, or I'm not good enough. Those are automatic thoughts that you want to be aware of, and you can jot those down. That gets into cognitive behavioral therapy and kind of Socratic questioning and Socratic thinking. So anyways, this whole thing about society saying that masculinity, this whole movement about masculinity is negative or bad, completely disregard this. This is not healthy thinking. Toxic masculinity, things like this. Each person has to look at themselves and say, well, what kind of is my behavior being, negative or toxic towards others or myself? That's just for each person to look in for themselves. There's definitely toxic people out there. I wouldn't even go in to call it toxic masculinity or toxic femininity. You could say that for conversation purposes when you're talking to people, so they understand, people can understand what you're talking about. But it's just basically it's toxic people, or people that are just unhealthy mentally or physically, and they just have problems and trauma and this and other things going on, and cognitive distortions going on. And it also gets into narcissism and narcissistic traits. People that have these traits, particularly cluster B. So if you're interested in more of those things, like narcissism, mental issues, and people usually see a lot of this on social media. About 10% of people are in the category of narcissistic personality and or sociopathic or psychopathic. That's about 10%, according to Andrew Bustamante, which is an ex-CIA agent that talks about a lot of the CIA psychology from the CIA. Don't feel invalidated by society, by people that say that being a man is bad or masculinity is bad. Masculinity is very important. It's very important for your health, for your physical health, for your mental health. If you're watching this, that's something to just really disregard, and don't let that affect you. You can look into it and have some introspection or meditative reflection and see, like, is that really affecting me? Because honestly, this was affecting me before this was even a wave of 20 years ago. I was feeling ashamed of myself and self-doubt, all those things since I was a kid. And so I dragged that into my adult life, into my 20s, even into my 30s. And it wasn't until like my late 30s, mid to late 30s, where I was just like, all right, I'm done with this kind of nonsense. And it was really affecting me, my self-doubt and self-worth, and feeling worthlessness, not feeling like I'm valued in society and everything. So it is important to get that feedback from society, but the correct feedback and the healthy feedback. Like have discernment. What's good feedback? Like, am I really having a positive effect on my environment and the people around me, or am I not? So you have to start being honest with yourself too. There's a lot of stuff on, especially social media, where people are just not honest with themselves. This is the people that are a little more narcissistic personality traits. They may or may not have a full-blown narcissistic personality disorder. But they could still have narcissistic personality traits or characteristics. The same goes with cluster B, which is, antisocial personality disorder, things like that. Cluster B personality disorders, you can look that up. So, you do matter. There's no such thing as toxic masculinity in those exact terms. There's just toxic people, and there's just negative personalities, people that are just that you don't want to be around, or toxic energy vampires, things like that. That just, if you're around them and you feel sucked dry after you being around them, or people that just have those more personality traits like the narcissism and other things that are causing them to act and behave certain ways online that could be seen as toxic masculinity. So no, don't buy into that kind of stuff, and look into your own experiences, your own emotions, and also how you are living your life in society, and think for yourself. Think for yourself and how you are. Am I toxic? Do I perceive this quote-unquote toxic masculinity? Am I being this narcissistic towards people? Do I think about people's... am I thinking only about myself? These are the things you really want to be honest with yourself about. And usually, if you're watching this video, you're not one of those people. So usually, in this case, if you're watching this video, most likely than not, you're not one of those people. So you can disregard, generally speaking, you can disregard a lot of that kind of stuff that people are saying, and just be confident. Just be confident in yourself. Build more confidence with eating healthier, feeling better, get outside and get in nature, more sunlight. All this is going to start making you feel better, and it's going to make depression go. Generally, it's going to help with the depression, generally speaking. Hopefully, maybe you start having more friend circles. Don't try so hard. Don't try so hard. Just get out there and just be natural. Just be you, and just be confident in who you are. And then you learn. If you're a young person watching this, and you watched this to the very end. It's not necessarily that you know everything about yourself and that you're this perfect, confident James Bond type person that you see in movies and this and that. Almost nobody ever is like that. Maybe, a long time ago and hundreds of years ago, people were a little more mature, or maybe not. at younger ages. Depends on where you grow up and what kind of environment. You can become more mature at younger ages. But in any case, you learn what kind of person you are by living experiences. And usually you want to have getting pushback. You need to adversity. Adversity is where you find more of who you are and what you are and how strong you are and what kind of resilience you have. And instead, let's say, doesn't matter if you're Sylvester Stallone. He himself has said, when you get knocked on your ass, you get back up. You can't just stay down. That's not how winning is done. So that's not how success is done. That's not how being healthy is done. That's not how having a strong mindset is done. You don't have any of those things like healthy mind, body, and mindset. You don't have that by just staying on the ground. You have that by getting back up onto your feet, moving forward again. Now, not moving forward with such total unawareness, you learn from that. Why did I get... Learn from what happened. Learn from why you got knocked down on your butt. Learn from why you did not do a great job. Oh, why did I not do a great job? Oh, just because I didn't know. Oh, now I know more now. I have more knowledge. I have more wisdom. Ask questions. How can I do this better? How can I get back up and say, hey, why did I get, knocked down on my ass? In martial arts training, you just gotta be, you just learn techniques. You learn how to move faster. You learn how to be more aware. You learn how to see the person and how they move. You learn how to see it before it happens. You learn how to see maybe the punch or the kick or the sweep before it happens. So the same thing in life. You learn how to get over those hurdles easier. Those hurdles and those speed bumps become less and less because you become more resilient. You become stronger. You become more closer to yourself. You become more aware of your thoughts and your emotions. Your emotions don't take you over anymore. Your emotions don't control you. You control your emotions. We have emotions, but emotions don't drive the bus. You are driving the bus. Your conscious awareness is driving the bus, and the bus is you and all that you are in your body and your mind. That's the bus. And your consciousness, your awareness you want that to be in the driver's seat. You don't want your emotions in the driver's seat. That's the people that are, someone says something to them and they get offended and they fly off the rails. Somebody cuts them off and they get road rage and then they smash the person, or they attack them, or they become violent. Somebody says something to them that they don't like or they become offended and they freak out and they go off the rails and they start yelling and they become violent. That's the emotions in the driver's seat, and you'll learn about this if you start looking into cognitive behavioral therapy. You go into how the logical thinking brain right here on the right side, and your emotional brain on the left side. Your emotional artistic brain on the left side, or sorry, the other way around. The left brain is the logical masculine thinking brain, and then the right side is your artistic emotional brain. Because of survival for thousands of years, our emotional brain is the one that goes first because of our fear center, and that reacts first. So if it's PTSD, if it's anxiety, if it's panic, if it's over emotions, that's too much of your firing of your right brain, generally speaking, when there's situations in life. So what you want to do if you're having PTSD, responses or reactions, anxiety, or panic attacks, emotional outbursts, those kinds of things, you want to practice getting more into the left brain mindset, more logical. You want to just stop and go, we've all seen this in movies and this and that, just like take a deep breath, count to 10. You do that because you're slowly training the brain to go, okay, I may feel all these emotions right now. What's going on? What's in your left brain, your logical, rational brain? What's logically, rationally happening? Okay, there's a situation. my boyfriend, girlfriend just said this to me, and they're standing right in front of me, and I want to do this bad thing, or I want to say this bad thing because I want to, fly off the rails with my emotions. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be conscious and aware and logical and reasoning and rational, and I'm going to think about, we're both upset. We both didn't have very good sleep last night. I haven't eaten all day. I haven't even got out in the sun today yet. I haven't even taken a deep breath today yet. We're both triggered. We both just triggered each other at the same time. And so that's all the left brain, the thinking. Okay, and then, take a deep breath and you say, you know what? I'm just gonna take 1 minute. Let's conversate in about 1 minute because I need to think about this. I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna write down what's just going on right now. What's happening. You get logical and reasoning. You can do the same exact thing if you're having a panic attack, if you're having an anxiety attack, and you just like a bird's eye view. You go back and you go, okay, move out of the emotions and just go to your logic and reasoning and your rational mind. Okay, it might be natural for me to be scared because I'm going to go on stage, and that's okay. I know what I'm talking about. I've studied what I'm talking about. I have my topics right here. I have my list right in front of me. I can look down and look at it. I know what I'm doing. I know I'm confident. And once I get out there, probably after a minute, I'm going to be just fine. Sometimes, talk to somebody that, I could ask for support with my manager or my spouse that can give you some motivation. But as long as I just go out there and get through that first couple sentences and say, hey guys, this is my first time on stage, or every time I come out here, I'm a little bit nervous for the first minute, but it'll smooth out. We'll get things going. Just practice your first line, practice your first couple lines before you go out there, and just do those lines, and then, and then go into your topics or your lecture. That's just an example. Or whatever it may be. You just go and you start jotting down what's logically and rationally happening, and why am I rationally or irrationally feeling this way right now? Is it rational? Is there a reason I feel so much fear or freaked out or so emotional right now? This is because I spent 20 years with my ex-husband and this was always a trigger, but my new partner is not like this. It's not their fault. They're not doing the same thing. I'm just triggered because of something that happened over and over again for 20 years. So your HPA axis, your hypothalamus pituitary gland, sends a signal to your adrenal glands, and your adrenal glands give you, cortisol and adrenaline, and then all of a sudden you're in your emotional brain. So this is how we can work with ourselves in that way. This is what I talk about in my book as well. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for tuning in. Again, if you haven't liked, subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications. If you know somebody that's struggling with this kind of thing, you can please share. Helps to build my channel and helps people, of course, in their lives. So that's what we're really here for, is to help people. So stay tuned for more of the content, more martial arts content, health and wellness, lifestyle, and I'll see you guys next time.